More than half of Americans say they're knowledgeable about personal finance, yet nearly half of those same people couldn't answer basic financial questions correctly. This tells me that people are getting financial information, it's just not always accurate. We are surrounded by financial content. It is spreading faster than ever, but unfortunately today's algorithms often reward sensation over substance. I'm Christiana Lovelace. I'm a licensed financial advisor, an accredited asset management specialist, and the owner of Diamond Point Financial. Every week here on Pointe Perspective, we take complex financial topics and break them down into practical applications for your financial life. If you don't have time to watch every week, don't worry. We also publish a weekly newsletter that summarizes each discussion. You can subscribe using the link below. Today we're going to challenge a few common assumptions, separate fact from fiction, and continue building on the conversations we've been having all year. We'll begin by looking at one of the most important reports professional investors use every quarter and why it often tells a much deeper story than the headlines ever could. Then we'll discuss free markets, what that means, and how you experience it in your everyday life. And finally, we'll finish with a quick game of true or false as we tackle some of the biggest myths surrounding credit scores. Our goal in these discussions isn't just to give you more financial information. It's to give you better information so you can make more informed financial decisions. Earnings season is in full swing. A few weeks ago, we discussed earnings season, what it is, and why investors pay such close attention. If you missed that discussion, I've linked it below so you can catch up. Every quarter, publicly traded companies file what's known as the Form 10-Q with the SEC. Think of it like the company's official quarterly report card. While these reports can easily exceed 100 pages, they provide investors with a standardized look at how the business performed over the previous 3 months. They allow us to keep a pulse on a company's financial position and identify emerging trends throughout the year. Depending on their size, all public companies generally have either 40 or 45 days to file their Form 10-Q after the end of each fiscal quarter. Larger companies are expected to report sooner because they typically have more established financial reporting systems and resources in place. These reports aren't a secret. Anyone can access both current and historical 10-Q filings for publicly traded companies through the SEC's EDGAR database. Inside every 10-Q, there are a few key sections that investors tend to focus on first. The first is the income statement. This shows how much revenue the company generated, what it spent to operate the business, and ultimately how much profit it earned during the quarter. The next section is the balance sheet, which provides a snapshot of the company's financial position. It details what the company owns, what it owes, and how much value belongs to shareholders at a specific point in time. Investors also review the statement of cash flows, which tracks how cash moved into and out of the business. A company can report strong profits on paper, but if it isn't generating healthy cash flow, that may raise concerns about its long-term financial strength. One of the most valuable sections of the 10-Q is called Management's Discussion and Analysis, or MD&A. Here, company leadership explains the numbers in their own words. They discuss what drove sales, what challenges they faced, where they're investing, and what they expect in the months ahead. This section often provides context that the financial statements alone cannot. And finally, investors will compare key metrics of the 10-Q, like revenue, earnings per share, and cash flow, to both previous quarters and Wall Street's expectations. Strong numbers can certainly move a stock, but it's just as important for investors to understand the trends behind those numbers, why the company performed the way it did, and whether management believes that that momentum can continue. Every public company files the same basic report. Whether you're looking at Apple, Coca-Cola, Nvidia, or your local regional bank, they're all required to report their results using the same general framework. That consistency gives every investor access to the same information, making it easier to compare companies over time. The Form 10-Q is much more than just another accounting document. It's one of the most comprehensive updates a public company provides each quarter, giving investors a clearer picture of where the business stands today and where management believes it's headed next. Next week, we'll look at what happens after the 10-Q is released, when company leadership discusses those results during an earnings call. We'll discuss who's on those calls, what's discussed, and why investors pay such close attention to every detail. Imagine walking into your local grocery store tomorrow morning and discovering that every store charged exactly the same price for everything. A gallon of milk is $8, a loaf of bread is $3, eggs are $9, and your morning coffee is $7. It doesn't matter which store you visit, which brand you choose, or whether one product is better than another. Every price has already been decided. No discounts, no competition. Now, if you're thinking, well, Starbucks for $7, that doesn't sound too bad, there's only one problem with that. Starbucks might not exist, or at the very least, it wouldn't be the brand it is today. We've talked about how competition encourages businesses to innovate, improve quality, and keep prices competitive. But if every business charged the same price, regardless of quality or service, what incentive would there be to create something better? Today, we're exploring one of the mechanisms that makes capitalism work, and that's the free market. While the terms are often used interchangeably, they're not exactly the same. Capitalism is an economic system based on private ownership and voluntary exchange. A free market describes how buyers and sellers interact within that system, with prices determined primarily by supply and demand rather than the government. We haven't talked much about supply and demand since February, so let's do a quick refresher. I'll include a link to that episode below for the full discussion. In a free market, when supply increases and demand remains low, prices often fall as businesses compete to attract buyers and reduce excess inventory. When demand is high but supply is limited, prices typically rise as consumers compete for fewer available goods. In a free market, businesses compete for customers, consumers decide where to spend their money, and prices adjust as market conditions change. Rather than being assigned, prices are discovered through millions of independent decisions made every day. No country operates in a perfectly free market. Instead, it's helpful to think of the economic systems as being on a spectrum. Countries like Singapore and Switzerland are often ranked among the freest market economies in the world. The United States also falls along that spectrum. It combines free enterprise with government regulations, consumer protections, environmental laws, and social programs, so economists generally describe this as a mixed economy. And on the other end of the spectrum are countries where governments play a much larger role in directing economic activity. In those systems, government may influence prices, production, wages, or the allocation of resources to a much greater extent. In practice, neither end of that spectrum exists in its purest form today. Nearly every country blends elements of free markets with some level of government involvement. The real difference is how much influence markets have versus how much influence the government has over economic decisions. Understanding free markets helps explain why prices change, why businesses innovate, and why competition plays such an important role in economic growth. It's also why economists often describe prices as signals. Prices communicate information. They tell businesses what consumers want, where shortages exist, and when markets are changing. Rising prices encourage businesses to produce more, while falling prices often tell businesses it's time to adapt. Next week, we'll look at what happens when governments take a much larger role in directing economic activity, and how those systems differ from market-based economies. If you've ever searched how to improve your credit score, you've probably seen some terrible advice. Unfortunately, there's no shortage of misinformation when it comes to credit. So today, let's play a quick game of true or false and see how many you get right. Number 1, true or false. You should carry a balance to build your credit score. False. You don't have to pay interest to build good credit. Your payment history is reported whether you carry a balance or pay your statement in full. If a loan serves a legitimate purpose, that's one thing, but borrowing money and paying interest just to improve your score rarely makes financial sense. Number 2, true or false. Checking your own credit score hurts your credit. This is false. Checking your own score is a soft inquiry, and it has no impact on your credit. Hard inquiries typically occur when you apply for new credit. As we discussed last week, I recommend checking your score at least quarterly, and then reviewing your full credit report at least once a year. Number 3, true or false. A credit score measures how wealthy you are. This is also false. Your credit score doesn't measure your wealth, your income, or your financial success. It measures how you've managed credit over time. You can earn $40,000 a year and have excellent credit, or you can earn $400,000 a year and have poor credit. Income may influence loan approval, but it isn't used to calculate your credit score. Number 4, true or false. Paying your bills on time is the single most important factor in your credit score. This is true. Payment history makes up 35% of a FICO score, making it the largest individual factor. Paying your bills on time is one of the best things you can do for your credit. Lastly, number 5, true or false, once you've damaged your credit, you're stuck with it. This is absolutely false. Negative marks may remain on your credit report for years, but you can rebuild your credit by adding positive payment history over time. That may mean starting with a secured card or a card with a lower limit. Use it for small monthly purchases and then pay it off in full and on time. Next week, we'll expand on this. We're going to discuss where to begin. Whether you're building credit for the first time, helping your children get started, or rebuilding after a setback, the principles are the same. It starts with responsible borrowing, consistent payments, and giving time the opportunity to work in your favor. Financial headlines come and go, but the principles behind good financial decisions don't change. The more you understand how these systems work, the better prepared you'll be to make informed decisions when they matter most. If you found today's discussion helpful, we'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to our channel or join our weekly newsletter. And if you have questions about your own financial situation, or you'd like to learn more about Diamond Point Financial, you can visit our website using the link below. I hope this offered some useful perspective. Until next week, take care.